Wider African issues. Let's start, if we may, with Zimbabwe. We've had the Kenyan Prime Minister Raila Odinga. We've had the Archbishop in South Africa, Desmond Tutu. Both say that Mugabe must go, and if necessary, African nations should use force to ensure he does go. You agree with that?
Nigeria normally does more than talking on matters like this. By the time we will begin to speak that way, you can be sure we have the troops ready to move in.
Well, look, you're on Hard Talk right now. You have the opportunity to send an important message across Africa. Does Nigeria believe that Mugabe must go and that African nations must do whatever it takes to get him out?
Let's put it in a context. When there was an implosion in Sierra Leone, Nigeria moved in. When there was an implosion in Liberia, Nigeria moved in. It cost us lives. We moved in before Britain, moved in before United States, in all these countries.
Hundreds are dying in Zimbabwe of cholera. Starvation sweeps the land. If that's not an implosion, I don't know what is. No, are you saying it is now time to do something to get Mugabe out?
Our track record in intervening in countries in Africa that are imploding is a very long and distinguished one, right from Congo to Sierra Leone, Liberia, now Darfur. And we are ready to move into Somalia.
Does Mugabe need to go and go now?
We have never adopted the style of grandstanding on the issue of Zimbabwe. Now listen.
But excuse me, you are the man who said we cannot stand any longer behind the fig leaf of sovereignty. This is no longer a question of sovereignty, according to you.
Well,
should Mugabe, in moral terms as well as humanitarian terms, be forced out of Zimbabwe?
When we did that, we were the first country in Africa, and you should give us credit for that. We were the first country in Africa to condemn Mugabe openly. We paid a big political price for that. Now, it was our intervention that now led to other African countries. We spoke for other African countries spoke. And because of that, Mugabe now started talking with Morgan. So the diplomatic leverage, the moral suasion that Nigeria...
People are dying in Zimbabwe as we speak. Something must be done. According to many Africans, we had the Botswanan foreign minister in that chair saying Africa has failed the people of Zimbabwe. The sense of urgency is real.
Nigeria has not
failed. Should Mugabe go? I'll give you one more chance to tell me. Should Mugabe go now, and should Africans do everything to get him out?
Nigeria has not failed. Nigeria made it clear that we didn't accept the so-called presidential runoff elections, and that they will need to go back to the March election to express, to fully have the will of the people of Zimbabwe expressed. Now, where we are at this stage, I'll tell you where we are at this stage, is to insist that the two sides honor the agreement that we signed a while ago. Now, if they do not, and
we've seen Mr. Mugabe try to rewrite the power-sharing deal. So if they do not,
and people continue to die in Zimbabwe, Nigeria will not fold its arms and allow another major African tragedy to be.
What will Nigeria do?
In concert with other African countries, because whatever Nigeria does will not be by Nigeria alone, in concert with other African countries, and especially within the international environment where the responsibility to protect...
The military option is there, you haven't ruled it out. How long has Mugabe got to live up to his promises before you would use it?
Well, just to tell you, I can be even more forceful on this issue than you are. When President Mugabe says that people are not... There's no cholera in this country, and that people are not dying of cholera, that tells you how serious the challenge is.
How long?
And we share the same moral outrage all other countries share.
How long has he got?
But we don't feel that...
How long has he got?
If I tell you that Mugabe should have left yesterday, it doesn't make him leave today. And that's why I said Nigeria's style on this matter has never been one of grandstand, because Nigeria, for goodness sake, is the largest African country and probably the largest military in terms of personnel. And we have made huge sacrifices from Southern Africa in the days of fighting apartheid, through Congo, through Sierra Leone. We have always matched our talk with action. So this is not, it could be very fashionable and very exciting for me to stay and say, Mugabe should have left yesterday. In fact, I told him that much at the AU, eyeball to eyeball. Of course, he abused me for taking him on. I didn't enjoy taking on a head of state, particularly an African head of state.
He's still there.
Yeah, he's still there. Now, you want me to say Nigerian to move in there tomorrow? That would be ridiculous. Ridiculous not because we cannot, but that is not the way to conduct business of government.
Ojo Madwekwe, we have to leave it there. Thank you very much for being on Hard Talk.